ago, the African continent thought that we weren't getting the best out of every effort to address extreme weather events. And so they came together and set up the Africa Risk Capacity to help manage these events that we're having. And I have the pleasure to invite Mr. Ibrahima C, who is the UN Assistant Secretary General and Director General African Risk Capacity Group. Mr. Diong, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Tony. As an old friend of the bank, I could not start without congratulating my good friend, Dr. Adesina, for his brilliant re-election. I have no doubt that under his leadership, the bank will be bigger, better, more impactful, and will continue to strive as he's done in his first term as the president of the bank. So send my regards and congratulations to my good friend Adesina. And then second, let me just state that GCA could not pick a better time to set up an office at the African Development Bank because of the growing demand for policy dialogue, for research, for communication and outreach across the continent. So having an institution working with our own continental bank to facilitate that kind of dialogue, the timing is perfect. And you can count on the commitment and the support of the organization that I'm leading in being part of the conversation as we proceed. One thing that caught my attention in the opening remark of the heads of state and the dignitaries, adaptation is good, but it needs to be combined with mitigation and resilience. And mitigation and resilience, that's what African risk capacity is all about. We are an EU specialized agency and believe that what GCA is trying to do in adaptation complement beautifully what we do, because through our sovereign risk insurance solution, we are able to actually provide support to our member countries, who are 34 as of today. Just to give you some numbers, since inception, we're able to sign 62 contracts across our member countries. And that led to $722 million of coverage. But more importantly, about 72 million Africans' lives have been saved and protected. So what we do actually do save life, and that's why ultimately what's important is the communities, the vulnerable communities, the women across Africa that get some support and protected because of what we do. It is absolutely critical and important to mention that in addition to the financing, there are other things that our organization does, which is equally important. And this is really building capacities of our member countries and making sure they can plan better and prepare themselves for disaster when they occur. And here I'm referring to, for example, risk profiling. Our country needs a must to understand the risk profile so they can make a decision to transfer part of the risk to insurance, but also take care of that risk as part of their national budget as they should be. The other thing also we do in technical assistance in making sure that the countries have what it takes to do contingency planning. It is absolutely important in terms of disaster to make sure that the country is fully coordinated and organized in providing the contingency fund that's required in making sure that we can protect and save lives. The other thing which is also equally important in technical assistance, it has been mentioned by my good friend Chow, which is early warning. We may not be able to stop some disaster, but knowing in advance when they will occur would allow our governments to be better prepared and to be able to respond at the right time in protecting our lives across the continent. One thing that came out of this conversation so far, which is no one institution alone can do this. It has to be done through strategic partnership. And that is why in the case of Africa Risk Capacity, we are an embodiment of active partnership. Organization belongs to 4 member countries. It's also supported by academia and other institutions that are involved in what we do. I think we're a great example that partnership can work. And I have no doubt that with GCA, we'll explore ways in which we're working together as well. Now, talking about partnership at this juncture, I like to recognize an excellent partnership, and this is really with the African Development Bank. With the bank, we are involved in a program called ADRIFI, and with that program, we're able to basically work with countries and develop a national disaster strategy kind of financing. So what it does, number one, it'll help the countries to have a better visibility on the risk profile, but eventually also providing resources to bring premium financing, but also other funding sources that's required to deal with climate-related disaster across Africa. At this junction, I also would like to thank Germany, as it has been recognized earlier, for providing about 90 million euro that helps some of our member countries have access to premium as they seek for sovereign interest risk financing from our institution. Now, of course, I have to make a plea, which is that given COVID-19 and the stress on the national budget of our member countries, it was always helpful to get additional resources to support our member countries so they can pay for the premium. Now remember, beyond just paying for the premium, it saves lives, the communities across the continent in Africa. By taking sovereign risk insurance, it allows them to have resources to be able to take care of the people as well. I also like to recognize another partnership which is extremely important, and that is between the African Development Bank, IFAD, as well as with the GCF, which is really a partnership which has been undermaking right now, ongoing as well in terms of in the making process. That's called the African Integrated Climate Resilience Program for the Sahel. It covers a number of countries of the region: Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Gambia, Mali, Mauritania, and my own country, Senegal, where I'm based right now. And it's come up to $143 million. In addition to looking at mitigation, we're also looking at resilience. What's important to mention in that program, we're not just dealing with macro insurance, they're also interested to talk about micro as well, which is going to get you to the communities across the continent. Let me finish up by saying the following. And Tony knows this quite well, because I worked with him in the past when I worked with the bank. We need to be creative and innovative in the way we actually mobilize resources to support climate-related disasters, also climate-related activities. And what we're thinking at our institution right now, exploring ways in which we're mobilizing resources from the global capital market that has tremendous resources. And here we're looking at developing an extreme climate facility, which will allow us to basically explore the opportunity offered by the green bond, but also the catastrophe bond, which is available out there. So these are opportunities I look forward to discussing with GCA and the bank and see how we can pull ourselves together and be able to put the resources to our member countries, to Africa as a whole. My message as a takeaway, adaptation, mitigation, and resilience, they go together. But ultimately, let's always think about the communities we're trying to protect, because that is the only KPI, the only indicator that matters to me in making sure we make a difference in the lives of Africans across the continent. So on that note, thank you, and I look forward to having a bilateral conversation with GCA and see how we can work together going forward. Thank you, Tony. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so very much.